And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog here, live back with another. Let me grab my microphone. Aaron the Dog here, back with another live breakdown, as you can tell here, back with Lucky Locks of Lucky Locks Picks for another Dana White Contenders Season 5 breakdown. Only got 3 more weeks left in the season. And last week I got back from traveling a little bit too late. Ended up doing a Tuesday morning Contender Series breakdown video. We actually ended up with similar picks as usual for this season. It's been kind of the trend. We seem to maybe disagree once or twice. We agreed on all 5 last week, so turned out perfectly fine for us. 4 or 5. Catherine Pepperocki, obviously. LFA allegiances die hard, but yeah, what are your thoughts kind of last week? How did you do overall with Bellator and Contender Series on your end?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good week. UFC and Bellator was able to turn a profit on, so all good there. Contender Series did take a loss last week, but looking to bounce back here and make a little
you
money.
had Duncan, didn't you? Had Duncan,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Chris Duncan's
that was
one of my favorite fighters, man. So
and Slava was one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah,
so.
I like Slava too. It was a tough one to pick, but
Yeah.
I couldn't stray away from my loyalties in that one.
Absolutely, yeah. Loyalties die hard. What up? Speaking of loyalty, Miz, number 1 in the game of loyal. This dude is at more breakdowns of mine than I'm at. I swear to God. Every time I see a breakdown, Miz is there. Appreciate you, Miz. It was a good week on the Contender Series. I've missed the most I've missed in a week of the Contender Series so far is 2 fights. So, going 3 of 5 or better each week has been pretty nice. Had a couple perfect weeks. And Slava was definitely one of my bigger hits last week, so pretty happy about that one for sure. We got 3 more weeks left of the Contender Series. I wish they would just have it every Tuesday forever. But with how they're signing fighters, maybe I don't. We'll see. We got to sort through all these because, it's like we got Jamie Pickett fighting this weekend in the UFC. I mean, we got to break down all these fighters getting contracts for multiple fights. So, Duncan was too slow. Also, Duncan was just not technical enough, which is what Slava's going to do to a lot of guys. I feel like we saw another Giga Chikazian in the making in Slava. I think Slava's going to be so much better in a couple of years once he learns how to wrestle, which he still doesn't know how to do. It was one of those. I think we might have maybe 1 or 2 dogs this week on my card, at least, that I really like. I actually just found out the odds of the main event, main fight. I don't know how they even call it, featured fight. Solomon Renfro versus Johnny Parsons, which is a very good fight. I was surprised by the odds when I just saw them. So we'll get to that shortly, but got my trusty board here as always. Got the split screen going. Appreciate everybody joining us. Visceral featured presentations. Ms. Shout out to Boston Comments. She just got a promotion at work today, so good for her. Big things happening for her. So I don't know if she'll be stopping there or not. She had a late lunch, so we'll see. But enough about our lunch schedules. We're here for some fights. I'm going to start at the bantamweight. This is bantamweight division. Which I was just shocked about because these guys are kind of massive to me. But such as the division, James Barnes taking on Pedro Pacquiao in a very good fight. I think these guys could honestly be fighting on an opener as debutants. We got 14-4 versus 14-3. James Barnes is turning 40 in 3 weeks. But I get worried about that at the lower division. If you look at James, I mean, he's in very good shape, and he does rely on his athleticism, but he's a pretty technical fighter as well. So doesn't seem to struggle to make the weight or anything like that. And no, I didn't watch the weigh-ins. I'll put them on mute in the background while we're doing this and see if I can get some peeks. But did not watch the weigh-ins. Was working all day and came right in. So, but we'll get into James in a second here. Pedro Pacquiao is coming down from featherweight. This is his first bantamweight fight, I believe. So that's right away something I'd be interested to check out on the face-off. But I'll have to get to that when I do. Pedro Falcao, 14-3 for the Brazilian, 5-6 out of Rio de Janeiro, Nova Union representative. It's been interesting. Nova Union kind of fell out of like relevance, I feel like, while Jose Aldo was kind of having his struggles, but now as he's risen back up, it seems Nova Union again is a pretty relevant camp. 3 straight wins with Chuto Brazil over all guys with a lot of experience, 33 fights actually, to be specific, for all of them, except for Dos Santos, who had 34. 15-8 record for one, a 21-12, who hasn't been too active since then, but finished 2 and then got a decision back in September of 2020. Has a win over one of the Santoses, Alarde, who did fight in the UFC. So, fought him 46 fight experience. So he's fought guys with good experience, then mixed in the 0-3, 1-1 type of guys. So it's really hard to say, but this is his first time at 145. Wasn't able to see the weigh-ins, so not sure if you were able to, but I'm gonna have to take a look at those. But James Barnes, 14-4, 5'8", 72-inch reach, also on a 3-fight win streak. Did fight more recently back in June. Fought once over each of the last 3 years. Got a body triangle win over Joey Riquet. Joey Riquet is a decent guy. He's definitely fought some guys on the regional scene. The grappling, not exactly his forte. Joey Riquet, I should say, also has a win over former UFC fighter Albert Morales. Came up short against Chad George and Ryan Lilly within Bellator. Doctor stoppage against Chad George, who's a good grappler, no shame there. And Ryan Lilly just kind of knocked him clean out. It is one of my worries. He has been knocked out in a couple of his losses, albeit one to AJ McKee. But the way he got knocked out in both of those is kind of what my worry is. It just, I do pick on this guy a lot, but he definitely had a reaction to strikes like Anthony Ivy at points where he kind of gets hit to the side and really shells up, and doesn't just shell up, but goes down with strikes that aren't exactly clean on. Pedro looks like a pretty good striker himself as well. I do think Pedro should be able to take this one, but I really like James Barnes. I'll be honest. I'm rooting for him in this fight. It's just I'm a little worried about his ability to take damage. He's going to be the smaller guy here. He weighed in at 132 for his last fight, so he's not even making the bantamweight limit, or he overcut, but I don't think he did. And Falcao coming down, I think there's size, and these Brazilians, once they come back after a couple years, look like they're out of like a juice factory sometimes. So I'm going to go with the Brazilian here, but I'm rooting for James.
Yeah, there's just a couple of red flags with James Barnes in this matchup for me. One of them just being the fact that he's 39 at bantamweight. Like that's pretty old, especially for that division.
He doesn't look it though. He doesn't look it.
He doesn't look it
like a young man.
He does. He looks great for 39, but it is a red flag for me. I mean, 9 of his 14 wins were on Gladiator Challenge. I pretty much just live to fade guys that fight there. So that's kind of a big, red flag. He lost a fight on Gladiator Challenge as well. I mean, just not stuff that I really like to see. He does have a lot of submissions. I don't really see him subbing Falcao here. To be honest, there's just not too much I really see in terms of a path to victory for James Barnes here. Falcao, I mean, featherweight coming down to bantamweight, been fighting on Shooto for the last 6 years. I mean, he's not the best striker. I feel like he could be a little better there, especially just with the power considered in this match. I think that, he's a black belt. I think he's probably going to have a grappling advantage as well. I just think he's going to be better than James Barnes here. So I actually have Falcao in a parlay on this card. So that's going to be my pick in this one.
Very good. Very good. I'm This is one I'm just gonna leave alone. They're trying to tempt me. They know how I love my plus 200 dogs, and they put them at plus 210 to tempt me here. But yeah, I do think Facau should take this one, most likely a knockout. Yeah, so just we'll move on here. But yeah, minus 255 on Facau. It's tough, but I understand the parlay piece. I am definitely just gonna leave it alone, though. Not gonna go down with Barnes here, but I'd love to be wrong on that one. We'll move on here to the next fight here at 205. Very interesting fight. Armin Petrosian. There's, I think, a couple Armin Petrosians, first of all. And he is not the 145 kickboxing related to Petrosian Italian. So first of all, there is two Armin Petrosians. It's pretty hard to find MMA Armin Petrosian tape. I only was able to find tape on one of his bouts. Taking on Kaolin Kolev. Definitely an international light heavyweight affair here for the two of them. 10-0 versus 5-1. Armin, nearly 32 years old now, taking on the 29-year-old Bulgarian Kaolin Kolev. I will be breaking down first. 10-0 for the Bulgarian, as I said, 29 years old, 6'2". So good, very good size. 205er as well. Has been off since August of 2019. Fought most of his fights in Serbia, either with Max Fight or Serbian Battle Championship. And the combined record of all his opponents is not great. He's faced 3-4, 1-6, 2-1, 3-1, a 25-10-1 opponent who fought one other time after him, 0-4, 0-0. So getting a lot of knockouts against these guys. Has a little bit of wrestling to his game as well. Likes to get the ground and pound work for the most part, but not the greatest level of competition. Armin Petrosian, 5-1, did get knocked out 2 fights ago. He actually fought 3 times in 2021, beat Vitaly Minakov's brother with Vitaly in the corner. Dmitry, it was his name. Looked like a pretty solid win, although Dmitry was kind of dominating the grappling until slipped up and then landed a body kick. 8-0 opponent for Armin to win against as well, who I wasn't familiar with, and Artur Alisarkarov, but again, knockouts in the second and third round, not just a first round finisher, but again, I think this one is mostly on the feet. Maybe Kalo trying to spam some takedowns, but yeah, I like Armin in this fight. I think Armin's going to just be kind of a level above with regards to competition and skill. Looks pretty solid, but this could just be 2 strikers going at it, and first one to connect goes down. But I think Kalo would be smart to try to implement the grappling. It has been something that I think Armin is a little weaker at.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Petrosian, 5-1 prospect, 100% finishing rate, has some fights on, the AMC, Fight Nights Global. I really like the Russian regional scene. I just feel like when you're fighting there, you're going to be exposed to a lot of stuff that's going to greatly help you when you try to come over to the next level. Not that he really fought that many times there, but I just like to see that you kind of got your name in the hat in that arena. And I think he's, like you said, going to want to stay standing here. The ground game could be a little bit troublesome. Like you said, I'd say he's definitely the weaker of the two in that department. But where I kind of see him winning this one, I think into the second and third round, he could really start to pull ahead on the feet. If it stays there, I believe that he's the better striking, and I believe that he's going to be the fresher fighter as the fight goes on. Kolev, on the other hand, 80% finish rate, undefeated, looks really good. We haven't seen him fight since 2019, so a little bit of a layoff. Maybe he has a better record on paper, but he opened up as way too big of a favorite, in my opinion. If he can get Petrosian down, I guess it is his fight to lose. If it does get there, I definitely think he has the edge in that department. But yeah, I like Petrosian here. This was originally a dog pick. It looks like he's become the favorite in a lot of places. I think BetOnline might still have it at a pick'em. I've seen Petrosian like -140. If it starts getting to like -150, -160, maybe I think about a shot on Kolev, but I'm going to stick with my original thought and pick Petrosian to get this one done.
Yep, we agree. Petrosian a -130 favorite now. I do really wonder a little bit about if people are kind of assuming this is a Petrosian in the family of the Petrosians. And even though Georgie just got knocked out by the number 2 fighter this past weekend with 1, I still think the casual bettor comes to this fight, which there's a ton of casual bettors now with the Contender Series, sees that Armin Petrosian doesn't do a ton of research into it and says, I'm going with that guy. That I do think that is a little bit of what we're seeing. But this is a really close fight. Again, if the wrestling's there, Armin's going to be in trouble, in my opinion, because he's kind of in that like Dustin Jacoby kick. I don't know if Armin Petrosian has professional kickboxing experience. It isn't on Tapology, if so. But he fights kind of like a former professional kickboxer where
it looks like he does.
Yeah, where sometimes, especially with regards to takedown defense. But I like Petrosian here as well. I got him at -125. I was happy with it. And yeah, if honestly, I don't know if there's been a bad week on the Contender Series yet, to be honest. And shout out to Bunny for making the appearance here. But I'm trying to think of the bad week on the Contender Series so far. Maybe because I've had some successful betting. I'm being biased, but I think there's yet to be a bad week. And this fight is going to, I think, end inside the distance. Is definitely one that I bet will be set at a under 1.5 rounds type of thing, because under 2.5 will probably be -500 for this fight, I would assume. I don't think it goes to the judges. So good 205 fight. We actually go back to back here with another 205 fight. This one I'm very interested to hear your opinion on because I'm a little bit torn, honestly. Kyle Brahallo, we did see him a few weeks ago at middleweight. The Brazilian, I think he's called the Fight Nerd. Is that his name, or Fight Geek or something like that? Or
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, something along that lines. He's known as the natural on here also, and it looks like his Tapology pictures from 1995. Taking on also both these guys kind of do. Jessie Murray looks like he's like leading like a 90s grunge band in his picture. So
it does look like
right on. We got 2, just punks here, but 28-year-old Kyle Brahallo, I believe the Fight Geek I'm going to go with, 5'10", 75-inch reach, taking on the 6'3", I don't know his reach, probably close to 80 inches, though. Looks like a big boy. 28-year-old Jessie Murray out of Ohio, fighting out of Strong Style. Stipe's gym, of course, Iron and Soul as well. So very good spot for him. Good training partners there as well. Blanking on his main training partner right now, but he was on the Contender Series last year. Just blanking on his name right now. But anyways, Jessie Murray, 28 years old now, which I was surprised about because he's been around for a while. Three straight wins for the 8-3 fighter here at Strong Style. Very solid win over a 7-1 Tim Hiley back in February of last year. Got a decision there. Ended up beating 2 other fighters, not of too high of note with King of the Cage, but his losses with the King of the Cage, Travis Davis, not a super notable loss with Alliance, but Jason Butcher was his other loss when Jason Butcher was kind of on an ascend a few years ago. And it was a good fight till it ended. Those 2.5-3 minutes were really high intensity, good strikes back and forth. Had a really nice front kick knockout of Chad Herrick that you can watch on Fight Pass. You can actually watch quite a few of his because he was with King of the Cage. Made his debut back in 2014, meaning he was 21 when he made his debut. And so, yeah, he's had some decent fights, but hasn't really beat anybody of super high note. Tim Hiley, we'll see, but only 7-1. Was supposed to face Josh Silveria in July of this past year, and I'm not sure why that fizzled out. I would have liked to see that one, though. would have been an interesting one to give us a little more information on Jessie. But big 205er, hits hard. For the most part, kind of looks to throw down in front of you. Kyle Brahallo, much more cerebral, 9-1, 5'10", 75-inch reach on an 8-fight win streak. Did beat Aaron Jeffrey in his last fight, which I was on Jeffrey, but that was at middleweight. All of his fights have been middleweight or welterweight. He's faced a decent level of competition again. Wildemar Santos, good 7-0 opponent. Other just mostly regional fighters from Brazil, not too high of note, honestly, but beating who's in front of him, some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on display, just overall shut down everything Aaron Jeffrey had to offer in that last fight. Good defensive wrestling. I was also really impressed with Brahallo, but that 205 is a really big X factor for me. I'm kind of curious in this one. Brahallo is the better MMA fighter. Honestly, Jessie has a puncher's chance, but I think he's got a decent puncher's chance. He's got good experience. I'm going to take a shot on the plus 300 dog here. I'll be honest. Jessie Murray, it doesn't really make sense to me. The odds were, I rewatched the Kyle fight. It was fine. Jeffrey's very impressive for sure. But this is a weight class that he has not been at in Kyle. And I think Jessie looks like a heavyweight. Honestly, a few of these fights I thought were at heavyweight, and he's just a very big 205er, 28 years old, fighting on a strong style. I think he's going to come in. Cal is going to be very confident, looked very confident during his fight with Jeffrey, and maybe I'm hitting myself in the head here, but I'm going to take a shot on the plus 300 dog. Give me Jessie Murray and give me the knockout. I'm hoping that weight classes seem to matter. Aspen Ladd showed that last week. Lupita Gondinez was twice as good as Luana Carolina, but the size was the difference, period. It just was. And Jessie Murray is a big 205er. So, yeah. And Visceral, maybe he does look slow, but he hits hard too. So, yeah, he looks like a heavyweight because he's slow. He also looks like a heavyweight because he's very large and hits hard. So, I'm going to give him the puncher's chance here. Kyle Brahallo, I don't think he's okay, but he's never fought this weight class. I think that's a big deal. Quick turnaround. Maybe I'm looking stupid, but give me Jessie Murray. Give me the dog.
Yeah, Brahallo, obviously we just saw him against Aaron Jeffrey, 9-1 record, 8-fight win streak now, future FC 185-pound champ. And he's got good striking, good grappling. He's a black belt. Physically, he is very strong. Won his last, Contender Series shot, but didn't get the contract. So a second chance here. He'll definitely be up for it, I feel like. Jessie Murray, strong style product, like we mentioned. Also was supposed to fight Josh Silveira, like we talked about, for the title in LFA. I was thinking that Silveira would probably get that one done. So now in Dana White's Contender Series, he hasn't really beaten anyone that's really wowed me. Strength of schedule, I haven't really loved either. I think he's decent skill-wise. I think that Kyle, like you said, is the better MMA fighter, but it is, he's moving up a weight class here. The line is super heavily in his favor. So, I just don't like that aspect of it betting-wise. I'm going to pick Brahallo to win, but I just really don't like this one at like minus 450 or whatever it is, just because of moving up in weight. And, he just fought a couple weeks ago. Just a couple things that I'm not really loving. So I'm not going to play it, but I am going to pick Brahallo to win.
All right. Fair enough. I'll be on my island here. I'm taking the gamble. This opened at a plus 325. It's pretty much stayed there, plus 310 on Jessie Murray now, minus 390 on Kyle. I'm a little bit surprised here. And, I won't even get into Aspen Ladd and what she did against Norma Dumont. Honestly, Norma Dumont threw a jab and Aspen Ladd threw nothing. So it was just
pretty much.
I am not one to say that about most main events. I loved Marina Rodriguez's main event the week prior to that against Dern. That was a rough one. And, I do believe that Kyle is a middleweight. I don't believe he's a light heavyweight. I do believe Jessie Murray is a legit light heavyweight and good experience. We'll see. I'm on an island in my boat saying, all right, thank you, Visceral. Good to be here. That's fine. I'll chill on this island. I'm not putting, my whole investment on it because I don't have to at plus 310. But he's one of the dogs on my card. So let's go, Mr. Jessie Murray. Maybe I'm apologizing on Wednesday when I do the Bellator breakdown with Lewis. We also got double Wednesday breakdown because I will be back with Boston Comments herself, moderator Bunny, as we do the UFC breakdown as well. But we got the co-main, co-feature. I don't know why they call it that. I don't know why they put this as the second to last fight, but they did. Velasco Machado taking on Pierra Rodriguez Lafira. The Venezuelan, 28 years old, turns 29 next week, taking on the 26-and-a-half-year-old Rio de Janeiro Brazilian in Velasco. Tina Black is her nickname. I don't know the reference. I don't know if that is a reference. Probably should just move on. Lafira, Pierra Rodriguez, we definitely know about her. 7-0 going back to her amateur career, 6-0 as a pro, fighting out of Panama. She got a win at LFA 105 by ground and pound in the 5th round against Goitzik in their title fight for the strawweight title. I got Pierra as a 2-1 underdog in that fight. It was a fantastic fight, by the way, because all strawweight LFA title fights are. Vanessa Dinamopoulos, Lupita Godinez, just the list goes on and on. Once you win the strawweight title fight, you get into this one. It's really, if you haven't watched the Svetlana Goitzik fight, that was just a fantastic fight against a fighter with triple the experience at 17 fights to her 5. Just really looked good, kept it on the feet. Her striking has looked outstanding in her last 2. Kayla Haracho is a sneaky win, but not a lot of people know about that. But Kayla Haracho, very good American top team product, just out-physicaled her. And again, the strikes, when she lands them, she's really fierce with her striking. Her striking, definitely what gets her to dance. Her defensive wrestling and grappling, she uses it to keep it on the feet. 4 finishes prior to that decision win over Kayla. Went the distance with Kayla, went 5 rounds with Svetlana. I've liked everything I've seen out of Pierra. I think she's the real deal. Velasco Machado, 8-2 for Tina Black. First of all, when she weighed in, she's a specimen. She's shredded. Looks physically in really good shape, very athletic. 6 straight wins, 8-2 overall as a pro. Her wins over basically nobody. Her losses over nobody. Just Brazilian Shuto representatives. I don't know a lot about these fighters. All of her wins coming by TKO. We got Strikers Affair here. I love Pierra Rodriguez. I think the 5-round experience, the title, preparation, LFA, all the way around. I got Pierra in this fight. Tons of good momentum here. I just think that, win streaks do need to end sometimes. But, both fighters are on win streaks here. I like Pierra quite a bit. Svetlana Goitzik is a legitimate win. And to go 5 rounds and really show what she had. Visceral saying she shouldn't be as big of a favorite. When you win that LFA title fight the way she did against the level of opponent, and Kayla Haracho is also, even though she was only 1-0, a good, solid regional. So, I like Pierra. It might just be access to information of why she's this big of a favorite, though. But, I got Pierra over Velasco here. But I think they're going to go in there and throw down. This might go the distance, too. They're both very good strikers, or it's ending quick. So, but either way, I don't know how Pierra gets it done, but I like Pierra.
Yeah, this should be a fun fight. Machado, obviously 8-2 Brazilian. She's finished half her fights on a 6-fight win streak. Last 4 have been knockout finishes. And, she does have some good striking. And I think I'm inclined to agree with you. We should see a stand-up war here. Machado was able to beat Julia Pilastri. She fought Maria Oliveira to a split decision. So, not great competition, but it's not completely horrible. She was a former atomweight, though, I believe, so it's giving me a little bit of pause in this one. Rodriguez, undefeated 6-0, 83% finish rate. Really like to see that. And yeah, we just saw her on LFA where she beat Svetlana Gotzik, and that was a really nice win. It almost kind of legitimized her as a prospect because she really hadn't fought anybody of note before that, no one really reputable, and that's like a really nice win. I was really impressed with her in that fight. I just really liked what I saw. Super aggressive, has good striking, looks to put you on the back foot, and I think that Pierra could probably be a pretty good addition to the strawweight division in the UFC, which has absolutely been on fire lately, and I think she'd be a great addition to the UFC roster.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, we do get to the odds here. With these odds, it is tough because I believe Pierra is going to try to finish this inside of the distance. Obviously, they all try to finish this inside distance, but you're at a minus 380 favorite here, so you do have to get to, kind of how are we going to have this finished? With Velasco losing both her fights by split decision, I think that Pierra by decision is going to be my move here. I also will have Pierra, most likely in a parlay or two, but I think this fight's going to be close, even though I really like Pierra. And she does only have, that was why she was an underdog against Kotzik, is that her notable win was a 1-0 Kayla Haracho. And Visceral might be taking a shot at Machado. I would just take a shot at the over 2.5 if it's at all, close to positive money. I don't know what it will be. It probably will be juiced a little bit, but yeah, I think otherwise this is going to be a close one. It's going to be on the feet. I just, again, I do like Pierra here, but maybe I'm a little bit too positive on her, like the bettors here. But this is like the first week with the Contender Series where I feel like all the lines are pretty juiced. And I've been used to seeing them closer to like under minus 200, and it's like this week you got minus 350, minus 390, minus 255, even in that first fight with James Barnes, who's a tricky veteran. I think that's a pretty steep prices you're paying on all these, and in the main event, frankly, which we can get to now. Solomon Renfro, fantastic name. I just love that name. That just seems like a name that you're going to be hearing, and big. It's like I just can hear saying, it's another Solomon Renfro fight. Like, just seems like a professional fighter name. I can't really explain what I'm thinking there, but I feel like everybody knows what I'm saying. Taken on Johnny Parsons. This is at the 170 division. Both these guys have fought at middleweight before, so these are big welterweights. But 8-1 versus 7-2. Johnny Parsons is crazy. He's also the Syndicate MMA striking coach out in Las Vegas, Nevada. So very comfortable with Nevada. Also, they work very close with the UFC PI, so he's definitely been in the apex plenty of times before with other fighters and probably for himself. 7-2 for the 30-year-old here. Last fight 175, his last fight 5'10", 69-inch reach for the striking coach of Syndicate. The Paradox. This guy's wild. The last 3 fights have been with Icon. Icon is kind of an up and down organization. He did beat Tyler Hill, which is a decent fight, decent win. He knocked him out clean in that fight, knocked him down, I think, 3 times inside 2.5 minutes before the knockdown. Juan Ramos, Grano Medina, and Ricardo Chavez. Not as familiar with these two guys, but he knocked out both as well in the second round. He gets his wins by KO. He's a striking coach. That's what he does. He beat Shoney Carter in 2015. Shoney Carter's record was 51-30-7 at the time when he knocked him out in 34 seconds. Yeah, first and second round knockouts except for one decision. Lost a decision to Chris Cisneros. We've seen Chris Cisneros on the Bellator scene. Tricky kind of MMA, grappler for the most part. That's what he did to get the decision there. But yeah, not a ton of notable wins here. Tyler Hill's a decent win, but not great. Solomon Renfro, much better, frankly. The Black Dragon, 8-1, 24 years old, 5'9", 69-inch reach, I believe, is what was said in one of his fights. fighting out of Buffalo, New York, 2-fight win streak. Those wins over Nick Alley with CFFC and then Lee Henry Lilly with CFFC, both by knockout in the first round. Did lose to Mike Mallet, who we just saw get a contract a couple weeks ago by submission. He lost by submission first round with CFFC. Honestly, he's been with CFFC the whole way, other than as a pro. Fought with King of the Cage as an amateur. I really do, appreciate. He had one fight with Maverick MMA as well, which I'm not familiar with. Appreciate he's been with CFFC. Other than Mike Mallet, not super notable fights. Was able to watch his Nick Alley and Lilly fights. Very well-rounded fighter, very athletic, 24 years old, only getting better. Has fought at welterweight in his last few. Johnny Parsons coming down to 175. Oh, shit. Fernando Padilla in the house. What's going on, sir? Hopefully seeing him back in the octagon very soon. Nice to have you, man. We got to get you on one of the shows with Bunny here soon, but good to have you on, man. This fight, it's a really, really good fight, interesting fight. I think that with Johnny Parsons, you got to make him an MMA fighter. It's kind of that simple. You got to, with Renfro, he does have the ability to shoot for takedowns, push the overall pace, I think, here. On the feet, I think it's going to be very close, and I just don't think you strike with a striking coach. If he does, I think he's going to lose, to be honest. He'll lose a decision or get knocked out at some point. Johnny Parsons, to me, reminds me just of a little more of an old school kind of fighter we don't see as much making it to UFC at this point. Solomon Renfro, much more new school MMA, kind of able to adjust to his opponents a little more. I gotta go with Johnny Parsons though, man. My brain says Solomon Renfro, but the odds are crazy here, man. I thought this would be close to a pick'em. It opened with a -340 on Solomon Renfro, and I'm just confused, where this is coming from. Solomon Renfro is a very solid prospect, but I think Johnny Parsons has worked with a lot of Solomon Renfros over at Syndicate MMA. Not to oversimplify things here, but and I think that if Solomon doesn't look for the takedowns, if this is a stand-up affair, I mean, Parsons takes this 4 out of 5 times, in my opinion. I really like what I've gotten to see from Parsons. I know making 170 is going to be a little tough for him. Stays a little bit softer around the midsection, if I'm being honest, but maybe getting that cut down to welterweight will make him a little more disciplined and sharp. We saw that with a few fighters a couple weeks ago. Blanking on who I'm trying to think of specifically, but I got Johnny Parsons here. I think it's going to be a war for however long it lasts. KO inside of 2 rounds for Johnny Parsons. Going to go with the heart a little bit on this one. My brain's saying Solomon Renfro, but my heart is going to take this one. Again, plus 220 is just too much for me to pass up on Johnny Parsons.
Yeah, Solomon Renfro, 24-year-old prospect out of Buffalo, New York, 8-1 amateur, 8-1 pro, and 8 out of 9 of those pro fights coming on CFFC, which is a promotion that, both of us like. It's a good promotion in the Northeast. The one loss was Mike Mallet, obviously. We just saw him on Dana White Contender Series. And honestly, in that one, I mean, Renfro looked really good until he didn't. I mean, he was pushing the pace. He was doing pretty well, and obviously he got choked out, but it is what it is. I mean, Mike Mallet is a savvy veteran. Renfro's last 3 wins have been finishes. He's currently riding 2 straight round 1 knockouts, and he's got a lot of good momentum coming in here. Johnny Parsons on the other side of the cage, syndicate striking coach like we talked about, and coaches have been doing really well in Contender Series this year. Obviously Mike Mallet, Slava Borshev, and Parsons, I guess, is going to be looking to continue the trend of coaches picking up W's here. And, he is a great striker, Muay Thai background, I believe, gets a lot of KOs. Like you said, that's how he wins fights. He's a striker. I don't believe he's going to be as explosive athletically as Renfro is. And where I think he's going to run into trouble is I think Renfro is going to obviously look to put him under a lot of pressure, try to back him up, and probably look to get the takedown. So I don't have access to DraftKings Sportsbook here in Canada, but seeing this open at -110 apiece, I did really want a piece of Renfro at that price, and I actually, for my parlay, I have Falcao, and Renfro is the other piece of it. So going with
All
Solomon
right.
Renfro to get it done here. But I like Johnny Parsons too. I definitely think that, like you said, if this stays standing, I'm not really seeing much of a path for Renfro to win a striking match here, but I'm hoping he'll be able to use some athleticism and mix in some grappling.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is by far the most disagreements we've had on a card so far. So it makes it a little more interesting. Pedro Falcao, I reluctantly do, and I'm just going through real quick picks here, and then we'll call it a day. So Falcao versus Barnes, I'm reluctantly going Pedro Falcao, as are you. So you're not reluctant on it. You put it in a parlay.
Yeah, I like Falcao.
Yeah, I'm leaving it alone at this point. Good luck on you, but I really wanted to see Barnes come through. This is the last chance for him, obviously, at 39 in the bantamweight division. Armin Petrosian versus Kalyan Kolev. I am on Armin Petrosian, but again, like a couple of my picks, nervous that if the wrestling comes into play, I'm going to be in trouble. So, we agree on that one there. Jessie Murray versus Kyle Brahallo. This is our first true disagreement. I got Jessie Murray by knockout, and you got Kyle just by decision, I would assume, with the size and everything.
I mean, I'm not going to touch it at -450. I think it's kind of a crazy line, but I think Kyle is just the better fighter, so that's who I'm picking.
Yeah, fair enough. Velasco Machado versus Pierra Rodriguez, striking delight here. I got Pierra Rodriguez, and I've got her by decision. And then you got Pierra, and then Johnny Parsons versus Solomon Renfro are a second disagreement. I just look at the James Bars one as a disagreement, even though it's not. But we got two disagreements here. I got Johnny Parsons again, hoping that the MMA fight does not become an MMA fight and stays on the feet. It's not always the best way to go about your bets. I will say that much. I've got three guys, frankly, I'm picking in Petrosian, Murray, and Parsons, who need to not have their backs touch the mat. Otherwise, I'm going to get nervous. And then you got Solomon Renfro. Should be a great breakdown. Appreciate it. We had double-digit viewers here for the middle of a Monday on a Contender Series fight. I appreciate all that. Go check out Lucky Locks Picks MMA for all the other organizations that not everybody else is covering. Again, they're great breakdowns. His Contender Series breakdowns always have much more succinct information than my rambling ass, who tries to keep track of it on my head. He writes down things. But, man, thanks for appreciate it, Miz. Absolutely. Appreciate the whole chat. It seems like Fernando Padilla, the UFC featherweight, stopping in there. Boston Comments herself in there as always. So moderator, Boston Comments. But we'll be back on Wednesday. Lewis of Norton MMA, who I saw in there as well, will be doing the Bellator from Moscow breakdown, headlined by Timothy Johnson and Fedor Emelianenko, which, God, breaking down Fedor fights in 2021 is just brutal. It's like, who the fuck knows, man? Who the fuck knows? If you know, good for you. Like, if you're a Fedor expert in 2021, congrats.
Not me.
That's not me, but maybe Lewis will have some sage wisdom to break it down on me. And then, of course, Boston Comments, Bunny and I will be back with the UFC breakdown show, 7:30 on Wednesday. Y'all know already. Yeah, most of you will be there. We've seen most of you. And maybe we'll have a appearance by Fernando Padilla. Maybe he'll come on. We'll talk about his visa issues and shit. See when he's getting back in the goddamn octagon. Because I know that he saw Nate Richardson just win the Fury FC title last night, and he has a win over Nate Richardson. So Fernando Padilla definitely ready to get back in there. Again, we'll see you on Wednesday for the Norton hype. And Fernando, I will talk to you about getting you on. I think that Bunny would love to talk to you on the air. So anyways, and then real quick, sorry, Visceral, 7:30 Eastern, always Eastern time. But we'll put that all out there. But for Lucky Locks, again, give Lucky Locks drop him a sub. Lucky Locks MMA is what you need to search, and then you've got that info there. And we'll talk to y'all on Wednesday, Double Breakdown Wednesday. Keep taking care of each other out there and cash those bets. We've got 3 more weeks of Contender Series. Have a great one, everybody. Peace out, and keep taking care.